to week 3 of our amazing series, ACTIV8. My name's Marissa. I'm going to be talking to you guys today on what it means to love one another. Amazing concept, I know. So before I talk to you guys today about what it means to love others, we're going to start off with a pep talk, a video from the president himself. Keep your eyes on the screen and enjoy.
I think the world needs a pep talk. I need you to look, people. Look with your eyes. This is where we live. It's a good place. Look around you. What do you see? Volcanoes, sunsets, Justin Timberlake's teeth. Those things are perfect. But I'm telling you, world, we got some work to do. Open your eyes. How cool is it that we're all alive on the same planet at the same time? I think it's time that we start making cool stuff happen. On the planet we live on, there's poverty, hunger, injustice. The world is full of awesome. It's also full of not awesome. On the planet we live on, there's also potential, possibilities. Puppies. Yeah, I said puppies. I'm getting distracted. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're all here. We're all born to make a difference. It can be easy to get overwhelmed. Feel like you can't do anything. But that's why we have each other. Yeah, there's lots of bad stuff in the world, but there's also you. And there's me. Time to set some goals. I'm not talking squad goals. I'm talking global goals. All of y'all, the whole world, is my squad goals. What the world needs is love, and also an end to extreme poverty, eliminating inequality, fixing our planet. That's why we got you. That's why we have each other. That's why we got goals, global goals. Together, we're louder. Together, we're brighter. Together, we're gooder. That isn't a word. Global goal number 4, education. Talking about school, I gotta tell you something. School cafeterias can be scary places. Where do I sit? Where do I not sit? Where's the cool table? Let me tell you something. The cool table is wherever you are. In the lunchroom of the world, there shouldn't be a cool table. Nope. The whole lunchroom should be one big cool table. A big table. A table where everybody's invited. Where everybody has a seat. Where everybody has enough. That's the kind of table that I want to be at. That's the kind of world I want to live in. That's the kind of world that we're building. Because of people like you. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. Let's live in the world where awesome is celebrated every day. Where people treat people like they're people. Those are my kind of people. So get out there. And if you find yourself feeling like it's too tough, remember, you're not alone. There's lots of people at the table. And it's a cool table. Open your eyes. You'll see.
So that little kid is on to something, let me tell you. Not gonna lie, after he talked about Justin Timberlake's teeth, I kind of wondered what they looked like. So I have a picture here for you. I'm sure it's all in your head too. Pretty amazing, right? Anyway, moving right along, the answer to our world's issues is love. The answer is love. Love is one of the most stressed and talked about actions in the Bible. Did you guys know, as Christians, sure, a lot of times we put our focus on sin and what not to do, and did you see what so-and-so did? Sin, God hates sin, sin takes us to hell. Well, sin is mentioned just over 400 times in the Bible, depending upon which version you're talking about. Love, on the other hand, appears around 551 times in the Bible. It's a big deal to God. Matthew chapter 22, verses 37 through 39 say, "The first greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And the second is exactly like the first, but love your neighbor as yourself." First 2 greatest commandments that God gave. That's what he wants you to take away. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. So for those of you whose parents have shoved the golden rule down your throat since you were a young kid, it wasn't them who made it up. In fact, it was Jesus himself. So why are we instructed to love others? 1 John chapter 4, verse 19 says that the reason we are to love others is because he first loved us. God is made entirely of love. You can be the most passionate believer, the most consistent, the biggest volunteer, the most well-dressed, clean-mouthed, self-proclaimed believer, that girl or that guy in school that's a Christian. You can be known as that and so in love with God. But if you hate your neighbor, if you have jealousy, if you have envy, if you have continual strife between someone, or you're merely just tolerating those around you, the Bible actually calls you a liar. I know that's a really bold thing to say, but it's true. In 1 John chapter 4, verse 20, it says, "If you say I love God and hate your brother, you're a liar. How can you love not your brother who you have seen with, who you've interacted with, who you've physically been in personal contact with, how can you hate him, but yet you can say you love God who you've never seen before? The two do not go together. So why love? John chapter 13, verse 35 says that people are going to know that you're my disciples by your love for them, not by the way that you look, not by your actions, not by how faithful you are. They're going to know you're my disciples based on your love for them. End of story. Again, why love? Luke chapter 10, verse 28 says, do this, love one another, and you will live eternally with me. So I can't help but think that when God wrote his word or his rule book for our life, his Bible, his divine inspiration, I can't help but think when he came up with this way of life that we need to live with these commandments and all of these rules, that every single one of them was based with love at the center. Without love, we're just living a fake show. Romans chapter 13, verse 9 says, for the commandments say, you shouldn't commit adultery, don't murder, don't steal, don't covet one another or their things. These commandments, and those like unto them, are summed up under one commandment, and that is love your neighbor as yourself. Again, every single other commandment stems back to loving your neighbor as yourself, because if you don't have love, that's when all of the other problems occur. Do you ever wonder if you're going to make it to heaven to live eternally with God? The real question that you need to be asking yourself is, do I truly, wholeheartedly, absolutely love my neighbor? So what is love exactly, Marissa? What are you talking about? 1 Corinthians chapter 13, that's the love chapter. If you ever need to refer back to this, write it down. It's amazing. So 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8 is where I'm basing this from. And it says that love is patient and kind. Come on, you idiot, hurry up, I have things to do today. Love is not jealous or boastful, proud or rude. Oh my gosh, I can't freaking stand her. She always gets the attention. Can she ever just tone it down a little bit? Can you grow up for 2 seconds? You're so mature. How about you act your age, not your shoe size? Love does not demand its own way. It's not irritable, and it doesn't keep record of being wronged by someone. Yeah, but Marissa, he literally lied to me that one time, and how will I ever trust him again? I don't have time for people like that in my life. They don't love me, I'm not gonna love them back. I'm gonna move on to someone that actually loves me for me and respects me as a friend. I've been burned too much before by that person, so I am done. I don't have to love them, okay? They're rude to me. Or back off, man, I've had no sleep, I'm not in the mood today, okay? I'm in a bad mood. I'm not gonna treat you with love or kindness. Talk about being rude, guys. We've all been there before. Love does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices indeed whenever the truth wins. Psh, well, that shows him right. Thank God he looks stupid in front of everyone. He deserves it with the way that he treats me in front of everyone at school every day. They're just big jerks at the cafeteria table. So he deserves to look stupid in his football game. It's not the right way to think, guys. Love never gives up. It never loses faith. It's always hopeful, and it endures through every single circumstance. Perhaps your friendships or families have gone through some pretty hard times. Maybe you've been wronged more than you deserve. But my question for you is, has love emanated through you to those who don't deserve it through these difficult circumstances? Prophecy and speaking in unknown languages and special knowledge and gifts and talents and all of those amazing things that we deem as valuable here on earth, those are all actually useless. But it's love that will last forever. And that's 1 Corinthians 13:8. If you don't feel like you've been gifted with earthly talents, you're not a popular person, you're not incredible at the piano, you're subpar, so what, guys? So what? God is trying, to tell you to look beyond that. It's love that actually matters, okay? Maybe your true calling, your true talent indeed is love. It's lending a hand to someone in need. It's being there for someone who is being bullied. It's learning to love someone that repetitively smacks you in the cheek over and over again with their foul words and their bullying. Maybe your calling is to love that person. I don't care exactly what you're gifted with, neither does God, but what he really cares is that, are you going? Are you loving people? Are you doing that? If you are, he's going to take care of the rest of your calling in a handbag. He will take care of it. But Marissa, what about those jerks? They've put me through hell and back. They make school difficult. My family, they're rude. They make life difficult. What about these people? It's so hard to even look at them. It's so hard to get up every day. Well, Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 through 48 says, "You have heard that it was said, what we say here on earth, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you," God says, "love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be the sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on both the just and the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Don't even the tax collectors do that?" We're not called to love if love is given to us. We're called to love everyone. People are frustrating. People are really jacked up. People make mistakes. People say very hurtful things without even realizing what they're doing. We're not called to love under certain circumstances. We're called to love at all times. And the last scripture, this comes from Marissa chapter 1, verse 13, on what love is. "Love does not boast of squad goals, so cut it out." Squad goals, what does that mean? This terminology is so exclusive, and it can often make people feel left out and as though they don't belong to the squad. You don't belong to or fit in this squad. You know, this term might as well just be called a clique. That's what it used to be called in the old time days, but now it's a more modern spin to it. As Kid President said in the video, the whole world should be your squad goal. The person sitting in the corner should be your squad goal. The person that deals with racism, that should be your squad goal. The person that repetitively puts himself out there for boys to look at, that should be your squad goal. Why? Because we have more than a purpose of just being here on earth. We're called to love so we get others to heaven as well. Jesus didn't say to the woman with the bleeding disorder who had faith that if she could just touch his garment, she would be healed. Or to the woman that was a prostitute sitting at the well who had done unmentionable things, judged by everyone. He didn't say to them, "Hey, disciples, look, these girls are just trying to be part of our squad. Who are they?" And when Jesus went to eat with Zacchaeus, that little short guy who was sitting up in a tree, the guy that was a cheating, lying tax collector who basically took money from people without them even knowing. He was a really wrong person. And, Jesus went into his house to eat dinner with him. The people couldn't even believe that Jesus was doing that. God, why is he part of your squad? He's not even like you. Jesus' response was, "For the Son of Man came to seek and to save those who are lost." Which brings us to my final point, the greatest love that one could ever experience. John chapter 3, verse 16 says, "God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whosoever would believe in him should not perish but have eternal life." And Romans chapter 5, verse 8 says, "But God shows his love for us, and that while we were yet sinners, while we didn't deserve it, Christ died for us." That is the greatest love that anyone could ever experience. God could have woken up every day depressed about how people mocked him and called him a liar. Oh, he's this fake Messiah. He could have been completely controlled by that. No, he had a greater purpose than that, and he still loved them despite all of that. We are merely here on earth temporarily to fulfill the first and the second greatest commandments, which are to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and to love your neighbor as yourself. Guys, there are 3 things that will endure on this earth that will take place in the eternal realm as well. And those 3 things are faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. And that's found in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. So now we're going to end today with some discussion questions. I hope that you guys liked this message, and I hope that it spoke to you and that you will put that in your heart and actually implement it in your everyday life. We'll see you guys next week right here where we will be discussing the teaching in Matthew chapter 25 regarding the less fortunate. See you guys then.